4th, Board of Directors meeting of the Landings Association. I would like to have a motion to approve the absences of Don Wurzel and Kevin Crouch as of this moment. Bill Ansley is participating remotely. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? We have one guest, Mr. Greg Whitbeck. Thank you for appearing, and we understand you do not have comments to make. You're just here to observe.
Well, I'm quiet today.
Okay. I won't say anything. All right, in front of you, you have the consent agenda. May I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Mark Lassner,
Hello.
report from the Landings Golf and Athletic Club.
Thanks for having me again. I just have a short update for TLA. We are having our board meeting this Friday, so I don't want to give too much away, but it's all good news, all right? And actually, as I was on my way over here checking my emails, our CFO just put out a mid-year financial update to the club. So again, I won't go and get into a lot of detail, but membership levels through the end of May are on budget. So we're slightly below where we were at the end of the calendar year, which was an all-time high back then. So we're on budget there, and our finances are ahead of budget due to cost management. So financially, the club continues to do well. Mainly, what we're focused on are our capital projects. So they're progressing well. Two major ones that I think most in the community are aware of. The Oak Ridge Golf Course renovation, which we were discussing in the lobby briefly. It's on track and on budget. It's actually ahead of where we wanted to be timeline-wise, but we have a long way to go. We expect end of October for the project to be completely done. Tours are being given regularly, so club members are welcome to do that. Member anticipation is building, so the design features are being well received. More importantly, from a TLA standpoint, we are getting feedback from neighbors, and it's been positive, where maybe the view has changed from their home, or the waterfront view has changed, or they like the design features, the removal of railroad ties, whatever. So we've had good positive feedback on course changes. Of course, everyone's anxious for the sod and all the dust to go away, and so we're working on that. But, so that is going well. Happy with that. The other major project, which is about to launch, you've heard about it from me several times, Franklin Creek Campus Project. Again, we're in a value engineering phase. We're in the last pieces of that. So final design and budget will be ready for our board shortly, I'd say. Mid-July is what I promised. So that shortly thereafter, you'll see the Franklin Creek campus being worked on. And that'll be for a good 6 to 9 months. An area that we jointly, the club and TLA, through the community council, we've been working on, and I think we'll work more on this summer, is golf cart rules. And so that's a big topic. The focus is on safety, I would say, and that's where we're all coming from. You know, underage drivers, speeding, just unsafe practices on our carts, on our paths, as an example. So look for more on that. We are, as part of our member standards, we're seeing more and more and more of those kind of incidents being reported. Part of that's because we, as a board, have said we want management to focus on that. So we are, and I know community council is as well. So that's the end of my report. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mark. Any questions for Mark?
One question.
Hey, Bill.
We have new golf carts, Mark, and it's not just a club problem, that's a TLA problem. So you have tunnels that go under roads, and some of the carts are too high, too wide to get under the tunnels. I mean, we need to think about how we transition those larger vehicles across Lanning's Way South or Lanning's Way North. I don't have any solution other than, you know, eliminate the large carts, but I don't think that's an issue that's gonna go away.
We actually had a little discussion about that a couple hours ago. Tim was indicating that it's been an ongoing topic. Obviously, redoing the tunnels is very cost prohibitive. What the answer is something that has been looked at and will continue to be looked at as people keep getting these bigger carts that even parking spaces that we had to accommodate down at the marina, and I'm sure the club has got the same issues with the large carts sticking out into the travel zone.
Right, you're right. Sometimes you can't get by.
Yeah, so it is a new world, right, for carts,
Right.
and so we haven't thought about the height restrictions there, but at least we can educate people before they buy. Hey, you ought to think about this before you get stuck in a tunnel, right? It's kind of like, you ever drive, you see a U-Haul truck where the top's been ripped off, so that's probably.
The bucket truck that takes out the interstate.
Yeah.
Mark, a selfish pickleball question. How will, when you do the renovations, how many courts will remain open while you do
We'll have
that?
8 courts open, which
Okay.
is, you know, not great, right, but 8. And the courts will be built fairly on the front end, like we're only 6 to 8 months into the project, so other courts will come online fairly quickly. But there will be a window of tension for court time.
Okay, thank you, Mark. All right, we are moving on to new business, I believe, and Carl.
Yes. One thing I want to point out is y'all saw there's several copies on the table of a new internal team newsletter. Karen or Sarah, if either of you want to say something about that.
Yeah, this is something that our recognition committee that we put together started this year. This is the second edition of this, so I thought I'd print a couple copies and share. That goes out electronically to all of our general staff members, and it's been really successful. I think this is the first year Sarah actually leads that committee, and this is the first time she said she was getting an abundance of pictures and having the staff really participate in it, so I was thought I'd share.
Has everybody met Sarah?
I don't think so. So this is her major assistant.
Hi.
Hi, Sarah.
And how long have you been here now, Sarah?
Over a year now.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
So she's been helping out, especially with a lot of the recruiting and some of this kind of stuff too, employee recognition. That also helps Karen get a chance to focus on organizational effectiveness, like with the security department and public works and things like that. So it's been a good addition to add that position to that department. So thank you. I'm going to turn over to Jessica for the monthly financial report.
Would you mind if I relocate?
Please.
Come on.
The financial report begins on page 13 in your packets. These numbers will reflect the end of May. Cash at the end of May equaled $7.5 million. Our total investments $10.4 million. The combination of cash and investments is $1.1 million more than the combination in 2024. We earned $49,973 in interest in the month of May and $281,000 year to date between our operating and capital reserves account. Total operating revenue at the end of May equaled $5.5 million. That's $362,000 better than our budget and $819,000 more than at the end of May of 2024. Total operating expenses, $5.3 million. That's $4,000 more than our budget and $551,000 more than at the end of May of 2024. Net operating revenue over expense is $241,971. That's $357,000 better than our budget projected. Some of the main drivers on the revenue side that gets us to that $357,000 better than budget. Annual vehicle registration performing better than budget. Our rental income, this is due to a reduction of one of our cell phone tower leases that dropped in January of this year. Our other category is mainly due to a violation that was to assess to a property that removed trees unlawfully. Expenses, these are mainly due to timing on the IT support performing better than budget and dredging performing better than budget. IT is due to our database transition, and dredging concluded on May 17th of this year, so you'll see those numbers go up in the month of June, more equivocal to budget. Engineering studies, just the timing of those studies being performed, and the median refurbishment more than budget, mainly due to the timing of the pine straw application in 2025. Total capital reserve expenditures at the end of May equal $2.1 million compared to the $5.8 budget. 71% of that on roads, 19% on bridges, structures, and equipment, 2% on paths, 6% on storm drains, and 1% on lagoons and marinas each. We've completed several capital projects this year. Some of these began in 24 and carried through 2025. The nature trail backflow, a server, HVAC unit, renovations to the Landings Community Park, 2 Kawasaki mules, and a spray rig. Of those that have been completed, we are $12,000 more than the budget that we planned for. At the end of May, members' equity equaled $14.4 million. That's a $1.6 million increase from the beginning of this year. On the accounts receivable aging, as of today, actually as of this meeting, we're at 21 non-assessment accounts compared to 20 at the same time last year. And keep in mind, last year at this time, we had not started imposing speeding violations. That began in July. As of the assessment accounts, we are now at 12 that have a remaining balance. Of those 12, 6 of those accounts are in either a closing status or a probate status, or are working closely with our collection staff and accounts receivable to collect the remainder of those balances. Just a few notes that I want to mention. As of July 1st, the Northgate will transition to a credit card or check only environment, and cash will not be accepted for any vendor passes, dump tickets, and things of that nature. And on July 8th, our reserve specialist will be on site to do the annual on-site visit, and then our reserve subcommittee will meet shortly with him also. 2026 budget process is quickly going to join us. We will begin heavy lifting after we close the month of June financially. Each of the departments will begin working on their work plans and what they would like to achieve in 2026 that align with their strategic plan. Those numbers will come back to us. We will begin internal review, and then we will incorporate our budget liaisons, which are members of the Finance Committee, and we'll continue to update the board and the Finance Committee as we move through that process to take a look at the options and the things that come out of the needs so that those strategic plan initiatives can be completed. The final budget approval will be in December of this year for the 2026 budget. Any questions?
Jessica, only one comment. I assume we are either posting at the North Gate or telling vendors or notifying residents that cash won't work anymore.
Yes.
Okay.
And then Jessica, you had a good update on the tax credit.
Yeah, I shared that with Patty, but I will share with the rest of the team. I did reach out to the Internal Revenue Service and had a positive call on Monday. It was not an hour wait, which is always a nice sign. We have not received the refund yet, obviously. However, it has been assigned to 2 agents. The first agent began the review process on May 7th, and it had a second review on June 13th. I was told this is the final review of calculations, so we should be through much of the legwork since 2021. 2025 may look positive for us to receive that last $426,000.
Plus interest.
Plus interest.
Plus interest.
Yes.
All right, thank you.
We got ours about 2 weeks ago.
Oh, did you? Okay.
Oh,
They're still rolling out though.
Okay, that's
That's good.
It's the patience, right? Yeah, I totally forgot about it. Like, wow.
Yeah, I'm surprised there. Jessica hadn't forgotten about it.
here to share with you the community development activity for the month of May 2025. Starting off with our permitting activity, we actually were at the exact same number as where we were this time last year, which is very interesting because our numbers have been so much higher. I do want you to note that there's this slight decline in the activity because we're going to see it mimicked in our architectural review activity. So I don't know if that's indicative of it starting to slow down, but I doubt it. I doubt it. Just an indicator that there's some slight variation. So while we had a slight decline in our numbers for last month, we were still pretty close to where we were this time in 2024 with 25 versus 31 applications before ARC. When it comes to the construction activity, we had no new homes were completed this last month. We have 3 that have been completed year to date. We have a number of them that are still under construction. 19 are active. We did not have any new homes break ground last month. We had 9 major improvements, 80 minor improvements, 28 dumpsters, pods, and porta-johns, and 7 permit extension requests. In terms of the trends observed, we wanted to see, like, in a percentage-wise, how our permitting was stacking up with last year, and it's actually almost exactly the same. Although our numbers are quite a bit higher in terms of those minor improvements. So I'm interested to see where this shakes out at the end of the year. So basically, the major improvements are off by about 1%, the minor improvements 2%, the miscellaneous permits, which include things like variances, permit extensions, dumpsters, pots, porta-johns, those kinds of things, are off by about 3%, and then our new construction and our stop work orders are obviously less than 1%. So just interesting tidbits. The number of properties with TPNS violations was actually the same as it was in 2024. So I'm not really sure what's coming up with this year or this month, and us having like duplicate numbers, but 19 violations were found. We have been doing inspections along the golf courses over the last couple months, so you're going to see some of that shaking through. In terms of courtesy notices, we had 20 versus 15 in 2024. Again, you know, that's probably indicative of the golf course inspections. When we look at the summary of inspection activity, we had 270 site visits that had to do with ARC inspections or site visits. We had 1,005 properties inspected for private property maintenance, proactive inspections. 35 properties were follow-ups. Those are cases that have existing violations. 20 properties were resolved with 85% of them without formal written notice. So we're still seeing good response from the community. And then in terms of the violation breakdown, a lot of those were home maintenance. And like I said, most of our inspections were from the golf course. So we're seeing sides of the properties we hadn't seen previously in at least a year. So a lot of those did have to do with home maintenance, things like staining, deterioration of decks and things like that. And then followed by landscaping and then ARC related and driveways. Any questions?
All right.
Thank you.
Tim, security. Now you need to share it from the, well, okay, you're not sharing it online.
Not sharing it? Not from here?
No, that'd be sharing it itself. You gotta go back to Teams. You gotta be in Teams, like just minimize it, go to Teams. Share, upper right hand corner. Window. There we go.
Share is not
Sharing is caring.
share. All right, so recap of the May 2025 statistics. We had 5 Part 1 crimes and 5 birds and thefts. All of those birds and thefts actually turned out to be Part 1 crimes. For the Part 1 crimes, we did have a burglary where a safe was entered and a large amount of jewelry was removed from that. Our AED that was actually placed out there was stolen and was later returned, but we are pursuing theft charges for that. Mail theft again continues. Somebody stole some checks out of the mail, wrote their name, and tried to cash them, so that's still going on. Had a burglary at Prickly Pear Court area, and they're currently investigating that. And the final one still came across as a Part 1 crime. It came across as an auto theft. However, it was just a honest mistake by one resident taking another resident's car. So I would look to see that being changed in the future, just to information purposes. Golf cart statistics, complaints were down from 5 to 2, violations issued 8 to 4, and unlicensed driver again for the month of May was none. Citations overview, up from 7 to 39, and the total fines issued was up from 1474 to 2700. This was basically the citations issued in the month of May, and as you see, we did end up charging the person that stole the AED. We will be sending her a bill for $250 for unlawful conduct. Appeals Committee heard 6 cases on July 11th. They're giving us their decisions now. 1 was for PPMS violation, 2 for speeding, 2 for running a stop sign, and 1 was a case at the dog at large that was also turned over to Chatham Animal Services. Any questions?
The AED you did say was returned, correct?
It was.
Any questions for Jim? Bill?
Just one comment, you're probably aware, Tim, but I've heard that there's been a lot of golf cart vandalism at Thrive. Kids taking carts for joyrides and destroying them somehow. So you may be involved.
We got a couple.
CCPD.
Yeah, we got a couple reports, and we're actually actively looking for 2 carts that were alleged stolen. So we're looking for them in the community. It's not uncommon. We had a plethora of those things happening several years ago, and I still believe to this day it's kind of tied back to one juvenile. Can't prove it, but when he left, my golf cart stopped. So.
Is he back?
He won't be back for many years. He's in federal prison.
And I think generally Thrive, they're like, it's not a closed garage, it's just kind of a covered area that they pull into and leave their keys or have other keys or.
And there's
They've had
no
some
security cameras either.
And I know of a few incidents where
Somebody
a neighbor got into the wrong golf cart, and once they got to the golf course, they realized those weren't their golf clubs. And so there's been a little bit of that that's gone on
I think
too.
there's been a fair amount.
Yeah.
And with Thrive, do we do that as a courtesy or the fact that those?
Courtesy. Yeah, they let us know the cart number and say, hey, they're missing this. Will you keep your eyes out for them? Absolutely.
Talk about the security volunteer program. which is
Okay,
very
so we had a recommendation by one of the security committee members that we revive what used to be known as the Maiden Gate Volunteer Program. So we looked at reviving that. We did a little, internal discussion, put just a feeler out there, how the community feels about that. There's a lot of support for it. So we're gonna go ahead and I think revive that. I think the next step is we're gonna be working with Lynn for a call to action and put something out there saying, hey, we're looking at reviving it, who wants to work it? This is basically a rough job description, if you will. These are some of the things that you could do. We're looking at stationing them over at the Oak Ridge Gate to answer phones and assist things like that. And then other things like golf cart registration. And there has been discussion whether or not we want them, doing the premise checks and things like that, but we'll flush out those details as the volunteers come along and what they want to do, what is their appetite as well. So we'll look to the board to moving forward. I hope we'll have enough people to have like a nominating committee, if you will. You bring people, interview them, and then come up with a short list or maybe a long list of volunteers, and then come to the board and ask for them to be appointed to that.
And I don't know how many people were here when they used to do that, but you would call the front gate and you would get a resident, and they would, say, here's how you do this, or here's where you go for that, or let me help you on certain limited areas, and obviously other ones had to go to formal staff, but it worked well. I think COVID kind of put the lid on it, and so they're looking to bring it back.
So were they at the main gate then, or Oak Ridge?
They were at the main gate.
Then,
I think the Oak Ridge would be better places, it's not as loud, noisy, and and again, when you have somebody online with them, and the call boxes now, it's a speakerphone kind of thing, so having that reverberating, it's just, it's gonna be easier and better over there.
Do we have any liability for them, or do they sign some kind of waiver or something? I don't know if they get involved with things where.
Yeah, we can vet that out. Obviously, when they were in the main gate, our liability was very limited, and we didn't have a form for that. But if we want them to go out and register and stuff like that, then yeah, I think it would be very wise. And if we, some of the members want to go around and check out homes and things like that. So we'll definitely have a liability waiver for that.
Vigilante.
Anybody, I'll send anybody that want to go out and see, please. My guys would love it.
Still remember a Chips episode where they had some vigilantes dressing up like the police and enforcing the law, so we have to think through this one a little bit.
That comes back to let's interview them and see.
Yes.
If they're too gung-ho about that, then yeah.
All right, thanks, Tim. Landings Harbor Marina restroom, this is on page 37 of your packet. These are for renovations to the restrooms that have gotten a lot of use and are showing their wear and tear. So the intent is to make them where they're easier to clean, look better, and are more functional. Larry, if you have any comments you would like to add.
The only other thing that from Finance and Marina Committee was, what are we gonna use for facilities while these are being renovated? The project's gonna be about a 3 to 4 week project, if they can get in and get them all done at once and get back out. So we reached out to Royal Trailer. Their air conditioning, because this will be done in August, September. It's gonna be quite warm. Air conditioned trailer runs about $4,000 for the month. Hopefully we can get it in and out. With that, the contingency of 15%, might have to add a little bit more to that to help offset. We could use some of the contingency, the 15% contingency that we're asking for to take care of an air conditioned restroom facility while we're doing the project.
I think we have to go that direction, so.
Yeah.
I think you're good with the amount. So we're looking at a total project cost of $50,991 for these restrooms.
do I have a motion to approve the project? Second. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, thanks, Larry.
Thank you.
Larry, do you mind giving us an update on the lift real quick?
Yeah, on Sunday afternoon, we lost what we assume is the bearing, one of the drive axles went out. So it pretty much stopped the machine where it's at, fluid leaked out. Thompson, I got on the phone with Thompson Monday or Sunday evening.
And Thompson is who you have an ongoing contract to maintain.
Right, Thompson Forklift does our quarterly services. They come in and do oil filters, fuel filters. They check the machines. They go through them. So they're on scene today, removing the transmission housing itself, the drive transmission. They'll take that back to their shop, rebuild it, and bring it back to us. We don't know the extent of the damage yet until they can actually open it up. But they're removing it from the machine right now. It's blocked up on the property.
And if all goes well, we might have it back by the weekend.
By weekend, yeah. If the parts, if it's just a set of ball bearings and it's not the actual drive shaft that is damaged, then yeah, we should be back up by the weekend.
If it's a belt, Tim can help you out on it, I was hearing.
Don't think belts.
He's working on tractors and stuff with belts this weekend, so.
This is for boats greater than 26 feet? is that what it is?
26, yeah, we sent out some communication Monday morning to all the boaters that, you know, if your boat's 26 feet or over, call us. It's not, we're not saying we can't put you in, we launched a 29-footer yesterday. It was just a light boat.
And what's the split between boats that are less than 26 and more than?
Our lifts, our capacities on our small machines, 13,500 pounds. So we handle the smaller boats, the fork diameter smaller, and it can get into a little tighter spaces. The larger machines, a 17,000 pound lift. That's the one that we have to use when we're dealing with 28, 29, 30 foot boats.
But the vast majority of boats would be below 26 feet that we have?
Yes, yeah, on average, the average length out there is about 25 feet.
All right, thanks, Larry.
I think the important part is it's not length as much as weight.
All right, board committee and special reports. Rosemary is not here. Does Jessica have anything else other than your presentation for finance, or does anybody else have anything? Okay. Governance.
I don't think I have anything specifically for the board meeting. We have been working through our annual task lists, inclusive of evaluation revisions, our self-evaluation reports, committee membership, and various and sundry other governance items.
Governance is a busy committee.
It can be.
And then there's nominating.
And then there's nominating. Nominating committee. For those of you that do not know, we are currently taking applications for new board members for our 26 through 28, 2026-2028 board term. We are taking applications through July 21st. We have a nominating committee comprised of residents, and that nominating committee has the charge to come up with a slate of candidates to present to the membership to vote for our new board members. As of today, we have 4 applications, and we are looking for any dedicated and people to apply for the board. And as I mentioned, July 21st, if you have any questions or comments, you can contact me.
Thank you. Rob?
Regarding water, we did not meet this month. I look forward to reporting next month.
You want to do a sales pitch for Catch the King for volunteers?
Sure, I always like to do that. Anybody that is interested, the event will be November the 6th. We'll have about a 10'3" high tide, and you can participate through an app. Just reach out to me. I have started a one-on-one reach out process where I'm contacting residents who live on Delago Creek, inviting them to participate, and so far the reception's been good. People there seem to experience quite a bit of coastal flooding on their property, so there's a high degree of interest.
Rob, what would their responsibility be as volunteers?
If you have a phone and can download an app, you just squeeze the trigger and you're mapping. It will take about 15 minutes and some easy training through myself or another captain, and you're ready to go.
And the app identifies your logistics coordinates, so you really don't have to do anything other than
Click. And since high tide is a pretty tight window, you got about half an hour's worth of volunteer work max, and then that's it. We capture it through the cloud in the app. It's kind of foolproof.
any other directors' comments, questions at this point in time. All right, my quick president's report, at least I hope it's quick. We are continuing to cooperate with the Other island entities, as you all know, we have the fireworks that we do jointly with the club coming up on July 4th. They're always well received and a lot of fun. The club and association have been working with the county on a tree policy, and we're kind of coming down the home stretch on that, so that's exciting. The club and association, as Mark mentioned, are working closely on rules and compliance for golf carts, as well as fishing and civil behavior, and we're looking to jointly enforce these at certain key locations. We are also working together on equipment and staff expertise sharing, so it's all good for the community. I'd like to make a special thanks to the people in the room as well as to everybody out there who work on our island during this heat. It's hot, and we appreciate all your efforts. I was out yesterday driving down Sundew, watching them put in the wood around the tree bases. It was hot, and they were doing a good job. TLA's efforts to have Xfinity bury all their cables is making great progress. The numbers in that list have been dwindled, and most of the cables have been buried, so terrific. There's sometimes some confusion about our water is provided by UI. Nobody else in Savannah, but you get on social media, they talk about water quality. UI, who is our water supplier, has the report for 2024. They've received no violations from the Georgia Environmental Protection Division. They are in fact in compliance with all applicable testing and reporting requirements. So when you hear somewhere else, that's not us. I would ask everybody to do their part, whether you have a well or not. Please follow the rules. Water only on your designated day and times. I was out yesterday, which was a Monday, and an address that ends in 9 apparently thinks that's an even numbered street address because they were watering on a day for even numbered waterings. And they were also watering at a different place, watering at 11 o'clock, which is not between the hours 10 and 4 when you're not supposed to water. But try and follow your math instincts and water when you're supposed to water. Savannah was recently denoted a bee city. Last week was Pollinator Week. Well, we too have our own Pollinator Palooza. We have our pollinator gardens, and we have our Skidaway farms, and we have beehives at each one of them. If you have nothing to do tonight, the Skidaway Institute is offering a program at 7 o'clock by a Dr. Herbert Wyndham on the history of Skidaway, from the Roebling Cattle Farm to the oceanographic research spanning all the evolution along that property. Reminder for everybody that our next board meeting in July, there will be a 3 o'clock drop-in for any residents who would like to discuss or raise issues with the board. And finally, as Marion has indicated, if you're interested in the future of our community, are engaged in our community, consider submitting an application to the nominating committee to run for the board. And that's my report. Anything anybody else has before we go into executive session? All right.